I'm Will, that's Nelly.
And we're Grounded Games. Injustice 2 is the newest game from Mortal Kombat developer NetherRealm Studios, and it's a sequel to Injustice Gods Among Us from 2013.
It pits comic book characters from the DC universe against each other in a fighting game. So Nelson, what's your experience with the Injustice series?
Well, I only played a little bit of the first game, and I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fan, so I don't have a ton of experience with Injustice, but I have a ton of fighting game experience.
Right. So, do you know the story of this one at all? Or?
Well, I know the basics of the first game. I know that Superman was a bad guy, and that's about it.
Spoiler alert. Okay, so I played it on PS4 when it was free on the PS Plus month, the first AAA game. It was fine. I like the story. The story is probably the best part of the game, to be honest. It's really interesting.
Right.
Pretty brutal, to be honest, like when, spoiler alert, Superman punches through the Joker.
Jesus.
Yeah, that hurt. But yeah, it's a good game, but I wasn't really fond of the fighting game mechanics. And
right.
I've only recently gotten into fighting games. This one has convinced me. But yeah, something about it just felt off to me, I'd say.
Yeah, same for me. The most important thing in a fighting game is how it plays, so let's talk about the gameplay of Injustice 2. You've got a pretty standard control scheme here. You've got your light, medium, and heavy attacks, and a unique character power. You can also interact with special objects on the stage, and knock your opponent to the next part of the stage. Special moves use this usual Mortal Kombat style of down forward or back forward buttons. You can also change this to make it quarter circle motions if you prefer a Japanese style of controls. The Clash system returns, which lets you break out of a combo and wager your meter to either regain health or damage the other player. Anyone who's played a NetherRealm game before will be familiar with the combo system here. You have preset combo strings, but the creativity in your combos comes from your special moves and your juggles. There are also two new defensive mechanics, roll escape and air escape. The roll escape allows you to spend a bar of meter for an invincible roll to either close or create a gap. I found this super useful online against people who play zoners like Deadshot. The air escape lets you flip out of a juggle combo at the cost of 2 bars of meter. You can still get hit on your way down though, so I think predicting this will be super important in high level play. At 29 characters, Injustice 2 boasts a strong roster of fighters, from Superman and Batman to Swamp Thing and Captain Cold. I'm a big fan of Supergirl and Atrocitus so far. One thing I do really appreciate is that all the frame data for every move is in the game. You can see how long it takes for a move to start up, or how punishable it is on block. The game does a pretty decent job at teaching you the systems of the game, but the character tutorials are completely worthless. They basically just run through their special moves, so I'd recommend looking up a guide instead.
So fighting games are a lot about feel, so how did the game feel to you?
Well, you know, at first I wasn't really feeling it. I'm more of a Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Guilty Gear player, but I'd never really given much time to any NetherRealm games. After really learning the game, putting a lot of time into it, I found it a lot of fun. Those advanced combos are really satisfying when you can pull them off. What about you?
I'm on the fence. I like the characters, and the actual making contact feels satisfying, but there's something that just feels a bit off for me. I don't know what it is. I've played a bit of Japanese fighting games, so the bit of Street Fighter, a bit of Guilty Gear, and there's something here that just feels a bit off to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do appreciate that they put in the option to enable quarter circles.
Yeah, I use it too.
Because, I mean, that's all I'm used to, and that'd be such a different experience to learn, so
yeah.
I'm glad they put that in there. A lot of the tutorials they included, very, very basic. I mean,
yeah.
Guilty Gear is the gold standard for tutorials.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing comes close.
It goes through everything, and it incorporates it well into sort of mini games. Even.
Yeah, for sure.
This just hit him a few times, and then you know how to play the game now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Leaves some to be desired for me, I think.
Okay.
So the story was the highlight of the previous game, and I'm glad to report that the sequel has done it justice. Injustice 2 continues the story of the alternate dimension set up by the previous game. Superman is imprisoned by Batman for imposing himself as a global dictator to eradicate crime. He did this after the Joker tricked him into killing his wife, child, and all of Metropolis. It introduces his cousin, Supergirl, who tries to break him out while supervillain Brainiac attacks the Earth.
So what did you think about the story mode?
It was good. I'm not the biggest fan of DC Comics, funnily enough. I usually find that Marvel tends to have better characters for me.
Yeah, I agree.
But here it's good. I like the alternate timeline where some of the heroes are bad, some of the villains are good, and the story that's told here is really nice.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like you said with the characters, I really enjoyed seeing the interactions between characters like Harley Quinn or Catwoman, typically villains, alongside Batman, and that was really interesting to see. And as well as that, the graphics in the cutscenes were ridiculous. Those facial animations.
Yeah, it's probably the best. Okay, maybe Uncharted 4, but definitely up there for facial animations in games. Yeah, very, very good presentation. I like there was an element of choice in the story.
Yeah, I liked being able to pick who you played as in some of the fights.
Yeah, and the conclusion, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's nice to have a choice this time around.
Yeah.
Apart from the story mode, there are other single-player modes to go through. You have your standard arcade and survival modes, but the meat of the game is in the multiverse. The multiverse is a series of randomly generated challenges that change every day. You fight against the AI with random modifiers or effects that affect the match. Some are as simple as making jumping attacks do more damage, while others have crazy weather effects like ice falling from the sky. We thought this mode might turn out to be a bit gimmicky, but we had an absolute blast here. Leveling up our characters to face the max level bosses of some of the multiverses was such an addictive grind that kept us playing the multiverse for the majority of our time with Injustice 2. The most important thing about the multiverse is the gear system. In what seems like an insane idea for a fighting game, Injustice 2 has you leveling up characters and acquiring gear to change their appearances and stats. Your damage, defense, and health can all be improved with better gear, and you can even get rare new moves or colors for each character. NetherRealm have really outdone themselves with the gear, which was something we were very skeptical about. The grind of leveling up characters, opening loot boxes, and equipping new gear took us back to our Diablo 3 days. Getting a new piece of epic gear for one of your mains is such an exciting feeling. There's also an AI battle simulator mode, which lets you equip AI characters with gear and have them face other players' AI characters. It's not a mode that we really cared for, and we honestly don't know why it's in the game.
Injustice 2's online multiplayer has all the usual suspects of fighting game modes. You have ranked matches, player or casual matches, and private matches and lobbies. Ranked matches disable the stat bonuses of your gear for a pure, balanced fight that earns you points to prove yourself on the leaderboards. This is the online mode to play if you're really trying to improve your play and find strong opponents, and it's what I played the most of. Player matches are separate from your ranking and have your gear's stats enabled by default. This can be disabled if both players agree to turn it off, but I found that most people online would just leave it on. I wasn't a big fan of this. I think that both players should have to opt into having gear on rather than hoping your opponent is going to want a fair fight. It basically just means that there's not really a good mode for you to practice your sub-character in if you don't have any friends to play with. The netcode in this game is really fantastic. I've played people with 180 ping and barely felt the lag. This game, along with Killer Instinct, is the gold standard for netcode in fighting games. There's also a guild system in the game which allows up to 50 players to combine their efforts and earn each other more loot. There's not a lot to it, other than the benefit of getting more loot, but there are super challenging guild bosses that you can fight. It's a 1v1 against an overpowered AI character where other members of the guild can assist you by giving you health packs and launching attacks at the enemy. This mode was a bit too gimmicky for my liking though.
So you said the graphics in the story mode were really good.
Yep.
How did you find it in the actual gameplay?
Well, I think it was pretty lacking. Technically, the graphics were high quality, but I felt like the art left something to be desired. The game had a really washed out grey sort of look to it, kind of like the Zack Snyder movies that everyone loves to hate.
My favourite movies.
Yeah.
New Justice League movie, grey. Wonder Woman, grey.
Injustice 2, grey.
Yeah.
Even when you're looking through all the colours, I just want a bright colour for my Supergirl, and they're all washed out except for the default, but I don't want those stupid Superman colours.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something about the way the characters are positioned on the screen as well. In some other games, they'll have an outline or something just around them that makes them pop out of the background.
Yeah.
Here, it all looks good, but they just fade into each other.
Yeah, I think the realism is a bit of a detriment to the game. And another thing in terms of presentation is the music. I thought it was kind of just bland, generic action movie kind of music that just, it just sits in the background. You don't think anything of it,
Few da-da-dun-da-dun.
Exactly, that sort of thing. You look at Guilty Gear's music, Street Fighter's music, Killer Instinct's music. They bring in like heavy metal bands, rock bands. Like that music is sick.
Yeah.
I listen to that when I'm not playing a game. Injustice music, like I couldn't even tell you how it sounds.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a detriment to the game as a spectator sport.
Yeah, no, not as upbeat. Not as catchy.
It doesn't look as nice, doesn't sound as nice. But who knows?
Yeah, it's still got the DC licenses, so
It's true.
I know a lot of people do like DC,
Oh yeah, for sure.
so it'll appeal to them.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, Nelson, final thoughts?
Well, this game really converted me into a NetherRealm fan.
Really?
Yeah, I actually love the game. I haven't touched Street Fighter or Persona since I've gotten it, and that's all I've been playing recently. I've put a ton of time into it. I really want to get better at it. I want to learn more characters. Atrocitus looks really fun. Swamp Thing looks really fun. And I could see myself playing this for quite a while.
Well, you gonna try some of the Mortal Kombats?
I don't know. Something about having a block button just really doesn't do it for me. But I'll give it more of a go the next time one comes around.
But there's like extra buttons on the controller you don't use.
Yeah, but the block button's really designed for a controller, not for a fight stick.
Pinky?
Yeah, you're right. I'll give it a try for sure. What about you? Did you like it?
It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
I like the story. It was good. Honestly, if you want to play a story in a fighting game, this is probably the best one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's the best one.
I mean, Guilty Gear's good. Bit crazy, bit Japanese.
Yeah.
But this story, good.
Yeah.
The best DC movie they've released.
Yeah, well, it's better than the live action ones for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Worth a play, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's a must buy for anyone who's looking for a fighting game with a lot of single player content, or for anyone who just wants to see DC characters beat each other up.
Yeah. If you're a big DC fan, you'll love this game.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say I'd give it about an 8.5.